The Liberty looking like the best team in the WNBA, and they're heading out to Indiana to take on Caitlin Clark in the Fever. That's must-see TV, which goes down Saturday night. Madeline Kenney, our New York Post sports Liberty reporter, writer, you do it all, Madeline. She's blessed the studio. We got a little couple people in the studio right now. Can we get a round of applause for Maddie in here? All right.
I was giving them a round of applause.
No, you have blessed the studio. How you doing? How you
I'm
feeling?
doing well. How are you?
You ready to talk some Liberty basketball?
Yeah.
All right, so ESPN had the Liberty ranked number 2 in their power rankings. Now the Lynx just lost Wednesday night. The Liberty 9-0. They've had a lot of blowout wins on the season. They're looking great, off to a hot start. Would you say that they are now the best team, or officially the best team in the WNBA?
Yeah, I think they are. Honestly, there was no question for me, even though the Lynx did arguably have a tougher schedule. The Liberty's schedule to start off has been pretty easy, all things considered. They did have a stretch where they were playing 4 games in 6 days, and that was a grueling stretch, but against opponents that they could beat. And so I think that even with that in mind, they were still the best team just because of the way that they've been playing. They've been playing at such a high level, the chemistry with this team and the way that the ball has been moving and stuff like that, the way that they're just connected and they're on a string on defense. There's not a lot of long lapses that have been detrimental to their success of this season. So I don't think there's any, I mean, now that the Lynx have lost, it makes it easier to make that argument, but yeah, they're the number 1 team.
And before the season started, during our Liberty preview, you were a little worried about the defensive chemistry because a lot of new pieces we felt like didn't have a lot of time to kind of gel in training camp because of how short that the WNBA training camps are. So it's good to see that they've gelled and they've taken their defense and kind of used it as an offense per se, especially when it comes to points off turnovers. So what is something else that kind of jumps out on this team or jumps out about this team that you did not expect going into the season?
I knew Natasha Cloud was a good player and was going to be able to like insert herself into this system and be successful. I didn't see it happening this quickly, but since the very first game, she has been just so important to what this team does, and it starts on defense. You know, she's so used to overhelping and stuff like that, but because the Liberty have so much athleticism and length and size in their starting lineup, she doesn't have to help as much as she did on previous teams. And she's even said that that's kind of been a adjustment for her. But she's so good that even when like somebody blows by Sabrina or something, you have Natasha there, or you have Leonie Fivich is there. So there's the insertion of her has made this team, what was already a really good starting lineup, to being that much more lethal.
And she's the one that locked up Caitlin Clark on that last play, the last time that we had the interview. Yeah, she's kind of just stepped in and kind of created her own role. And I mean, I love to watch her play. I love her game. I love her energy and just her vibes. They lost Jonquel Jones, who she can hoop. And she can hoop. They lost her to a sprained ankle, but Naara Sabia kind of stepped in and kind of took over for her. How do you feel that she looked and handled her first WNBA start?
Yeah, I mean, all things considered, Naara had a really successful first game. She had missed the previous 6 games because if you remember back to when they were at Indiana the first time, she was warming up and she had some knee issues that sidelined her. And they're being very cautious with the way that they handle injuries and just even, tweaks here and there. Throughout the course of a season, you're going to have some bumps and bruises that happen. Jonquel Jones was sidelined for a game earlier this season for an overextended hamstring. She probably could have played through it, but what's the point of doing it this early? Especially at a time when you felt like you could beat a team without her. And so, the way that Naara has come back and shown that she had no rust at all. She really just stepped in, and she only played 15 minutes, but she made the most of those 15 minutes. And I think we're going to continue to see this. Naara is another player who can hoop. I mean, look at what she did in Game 5. They don't win that game without her. And so she's such an integral part of this team.
All right, Saturday night, must-see TV. They play the Fever in Indiana. The atmosphere at Barclays Center is one thing, but I mean, you can kind of say it's comparable when you go out to Indiana and Caitlin Clark is on the court and how crazy that fan base gets. How do the Liberty keep this thing rolling?
There's some questions going into this game, right? Will Caitlin Clark play? Will Jonquil Jones play? Those are both really important players to each team.
Yeah.
And so depending on that, other players are going to have to step up if they're not playing. But even if they are playing, I think it's going to be really hard. It's a hostile environment at Indiana. Those fans are on top of you. They're loud. They love their basketball. And especially now with the Pacers in the NBA Finals, that excitement is tenfold.
Yeah.
And so it's not an easy place to play. The Liberty know that, but I think that they've shown that they're able to handle like in-game adversity and make those in-game adjustments that are needed. Last time they were at Indiana, they had a very comfortable halftime lead that they blew in the third quarter, and then were trying to come back in the fourth quarter from double digits. They managed to win that, but it was, they won it by a hair, basically. So
I know it's a long time from now, I guess, what, month and a half, but they do play the Lynx on July the 30th. If they can stay undefeated going into that game, and let's say the Lynx don't lose another game going into that point, how big of a matchup would this be for the league?
it's a huge matchup. I almost feel like it's not fair to fans that the schedule makers have scheduled an or a WNBA Finals rematch so late in the season.
Interesting. Okay.
I would have loved to see them play, earlier, maybe in June would be a great time if you don't want to start the season with that. But I think that's a game that everyone has circled on their calendars that you're going to want to watch, just because you have kind of that revenge tour going on with Minnesota, who felt like they were maybe cheated out of a finals win, and then you have the Liberty, who are just so confident and playing at such a high level. I mean, that's going to be basically two monsters going at it. So it'll be a good game.
Real quick, final thought, finish us off, go mad on us. Give us the storyline or something that you're getting ready to write about this team. What can we look forward to in terms of your articles on the post?
Yeah, so I have a few stories that I'm cooking up, but one of them is on Sabrina Ionescu and her defense. She's always had like the effort to play defense, which that's half the battle when you're playing defense. But it seems like this year that she's taken it to another level. The way that she's been able to get into passing lanes and just kind of be a menace. She had picked off or she stole the ball off of the inbound pass in the last game. I mean, those types of things, being scrappy like that, we're seeing more. And I wonder how much Natasha Cloud has influenced the way that she approaches defense. So I'm going to talk to her about that. And then, I'm going to do a story about I don't know if you've seen it, but they have a claw. It's a Freddy Krueger glove type situation in the locker room, and they give it to the player of the game. So I'm going to figure out what is up with that and why that.
Try and find a way to take a selfie with that.
Yeah.
Well, we got to definitely shout you out and post that. But thanks for hopping on with us. Can't wait to see these articles, especially about Ionescu's defense, because that's something a lot of people have been talking about. Thanks for hopping on, and blessed in the studio, Maddie.